keep its citizens hungry?
Well, not if the government doesn't empower people to, for example, grow their own food. That's what I mean. So people keep on living on handouts. You don't have that power to produce for yourself. So the point that I'm trying to drive with that anecdote or that example is that if you are always seized with the day-to-day basics, if I always have to think about what is it that I'm going to eat tomorrow, will I have water running the next day, how am I going to take my kids to school, all those kind of stuff. If those material conditions are not met, people tend to not have time, if you like, to, for example, read about what is going on in the country, such that they would be able to have a meaningful conversation with say, their elected officials, their councillors. So if I always have to think about what am I going to eat tomorrow, how am I going to go and ask Councillor Chitende, last year you said you would deliver one house per person. What happened to that promise? I won't have time to read those kind of stuff. So that's the point that I'm trying to really, advance, that for as long as you have extreme poverty, inequality, it's very difficult to have any meaningful conversation. Yeah.
Now, can you break that down for us in the Namibian context? Where do you place the Namibian youth in having meaningful dialogue with its government? Okay,
look, if the statistics from NSA tell us that at least about 40% of young people are unemployed, and probably they are also unemployable, or you have teachers who are trained but cannot find jobs, and then they again suffer these basic material deprivations. How would they engage with whoever is in charge in any meaningful conversation? So that's really the point that I'm trying to make. So you have high rates of crime in this country, and you realize that it's mostly young people, or high rates of alcohol abuse, simply because these people have got nothing to do with their lives. So at what point would you have any meaningful conversation with people who are in those kind of situations? So I think for any meaningful conversation to happen, you really have to address this very basic stuff that can allow human beings to thrive. I think that answers your question.
Thank you, Dr. Ellison. Rui, from a political standpoint, how do you believe that the Namibian government, and in broader the African governments, have embraced the concept of dialogue enough in shaping national and regional policies?
Well, I think each and every African government has a Ministry of Youth that was established to cater for the various needs and aspirations of young people. But we also know historically that for too long within these very African governments, we have a situation where the old govern the young in the interest of the old. What I mean by that is that if you look at the development programs, if you look at empowerment schemes or policies, they are skewed in favor of old people, despite the fact that in terms of the youth demographic, they tend to be the majority in most African societies, in fact, in the world. What we have seen is that there is no policy space that has been invented by government to propel young people to live a meaningful life. Take, for example, issues pertaining to grants in the context of Namibia. I was one of the people that actually said that we should have an unemployment grant for young people, especially those that have gone to university and are finding it difficult to find a job. And government's argument has always been that no, it will create a culture of dependency.
Yes.
Fair enough. We have grants currently for veterans of the liberation struggle. We have grants for pensioners. We have grants for children living with disabilities. We have grants for orphans. So young people could also ask the question, where is the dependency there?
Exactly.
So we need to be consistent in how we actually want to apply this notion of dependency. But most governments, not only in Namibia, but in Africa, are aware that for a long time, young people have not been at the dinner table when negotiations are being made. It's old people that decide the future of young people. But young people have now found an avenue to somehow enter that space. And that space is politics, it's social movements, it's in universities, it's in political parties. Now you see a lot of young people, and that's why governments, not only in Namibia but in South Africa, in Mozambique, you've seen the number of people, young people that have died as a result of the contested elections that took place last year. Governments have now realized that we can no longer ignore the plight of young people because it is a recipe for disaster. In the Namibian case, they are 71% of the population. But what percentage of instrumental or powerful positions do they occupy to really determine their own future? So those are the kind of discussions that we need to have. What policy positions are we proposing for young people to be rescued from the doldrums of poverty and massive unemployment? And I think as a young democracy, we have our challenges, and I think we still have a long way to go to really address the plight of young people.
Rui, so you would agree that the Namibian government and many African governments are then opening platforms for them to have open dialogue with their citizens?
Some of these platforms are actually cosmetic. It's just to say that we've provided you an avenue to discuss your concerns, but they're not really concerned about the plight of these young people that they prepare to represent. But in some spaces, you have seen young people really being given these opportunities to transform society for the better. But some of them start behaving like the old people. So they've been assimilated into this politics of doing what the old have done. But that won't be for long because biology has a way of dealing with those issues in the long run.
Okay. Dr. Ellison, how important is cultural sensitivity and historical context when governments open platforms to foster dialogue across different communities? And are we doing enough here at home to be culturally sensitive and also ensure that we have the dialogue in the historical context that it deserves to be in?
That's quite a mouthful question.
It is.
But I will attempt to respond to it. I think we can all agree that cultural sensitivity is incredibly important.
Yes.
You can only get to understand the other person once you first listen, with an intention to, if you like, place yourself in the other person's shoes. So, and I think the issue of cultural sensitivity can be linked to something like tribalism in this country.
Exactly.
So, many times the stuff that we know about people who are not from the same ethnic group as ourselves or social grouping as ourselves are mostly, prejudices and falsehoods, So I think it takes some effort to try and understand the other person, and it's only through that understanding can you have some kind of mutual understanding of what is going on in the country, or of the fact that, this country belongs to all of us. But, the kind of things that you hear every now and then,
Exactly.
There are some phrases such as the executive tribe. And if I say executive tribe, you would know who I'm referring to,
Exactly.
right? There is also a particular tribe that is seen as very arrogant. And I think you would know who I'm referring to. I actually do not like the word tribe. I think its connotation is a bit derogatory. And if you look at where it comes from, it's a very colonial importation in the sense that tribe was essentialized by colonial powers to divide Africans such that they can be ruled with ease. So, cultural sensitivity, again, coming back to your question, it's very important. But I think we are not doing enough to appreciate that cultural sensitivity is important. And I think one of the things that we can do is, just at a very personal level, like, Rivalto, it cannot be right that all your friends are Dogona.
Exactly.
So if you are at high school or at a university, you must take that conscious decision of trying to get to know other people.
Exactly.
So I think those spaces of education should be, like kind of laboratories where we can ensure that people are culturally sensitive. But I think we are still far off in terms of really appreciating that.
Let's take a practical approach. We recently commemorated the Genocide Remembrance Day here in Namibia. Do you think the government applied enough cultural sensitivity and also taking into the historical context of the day to foster dialogue between the affected communities and the Namibian government?
I don't think so. And I would explain why I'm saying that. If you look at the program, the list of things that were, in terms of speeches and stuff at Parliament Garden.
Yes.
I think all Namibians did see the list.
We did.
Yeah. The only Oshihero speaking Namibian that I saw on that program was a pastor who was allowed to pray at the beginning and then a closing prayer. So now, if you are saying this particular day is about paying homage to specific ethnic groups that were targeted by a genocidal war, your program should speak to that when you are having events that are, about remembering that day. But being that as it may, the fact that we got to a point where there is now Genocide Remembrance Day is something worth celebrating in and of itself. But yeah, I don't think that any cultural sensitivity was really accorded any space in that particular instance in terms of how the program looked like, and also the activities surrounding the whole remembrance, and also the length. It was 45 minutes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Ellison. To contribute to this discussion, call us on 061 291 3339. Again, to contribute to this discussion, do make sure to call us on 061 291 3339. Rui, what, in your view, constitutes meaningful dialogue in today's polarized global environment?
Well, look, the first thing is that as human beings, no matter your standing in society, we need to be tolerant and appreciative of our differences.
Yes.
We need not enter every conversation that we have from a standpoint of animosity. Sometimes a person will not like what you have to say simply because of who you are, where you come from, the ethnic group, your racial background. So there's this entrenched prejudice towards other people based on who they are and where they come from. And I think it will do justice to international politics, to development, if everyone were to think of another human being as someone that just wants to be understood, and vice versa. If you enter conversations from that premise, I think we'll be able to transform society for the better. If you look at what's happening now in the world, especially in the so-called West, Europe, there's a proliferation of right-wing political parties that are anti-immigration, anti-black, anti-Islam, anti-anything that doesn't look like them.
Yes.
Meaning if you are not white, you don't belong there. It's no coincidence that the UK government has now imposed certain restrictions of Namibians that want to go to the UK. It's no coincidence that you have a political party in Germany, AFD, that is seen as a neo-Nazi, you know, and the kind of policies that they pursue in the Netherlands and elsewhere. So there is this growing intolerance for people that are different than them. The question that you need to ask is, why is that the case now, despite the fact that these countries or these capital cities were actually at the epicenter of the colonial project?
Thank you so much, Rui. We have a caller on the line. Mukupi from Rakana. Good evening and welcome to Situation Critical.
Yes, how are you?
Yes, what would you like to contribute to our discussion here tonight?
Yes, Rivaldo, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing, Mukupi?
No, I'm doing fine, Mr. Rivaldo. I do not know whether I got you well when the program started for Situation Critical, because you said, how can the dialogue help to bridge wars of conflicts or wars between nations? Is it so?
No. We are busy discussing. Our conversation here tonight is centered around the dialogue among civilizations, and we are discussing how governments and citizens can find a common ground towards dialogue.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Rivaldo. But my contributions to a given topic of this evening is to say... Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Mukupi. Continue.
Yeah, it's only that I thought you were speaking here, because by then the dialogue, for it to be meaningful, there should be a proper language exchange, that which I know for sure that both parties that are involved in the dialogue should understand each other. Definitely. Because now we have a situation where as maybe people who are engaged in a dialogue, a language becomes a problem. How do you engage? How do you resolve situations if a language becomes a barrier? Because by then I know for sure that there are many individuals, there are many people who are willing also to engage, to debate with the state or whoever is involved in terms of decision-making for resolutions to be brought forth. But now the problem is the language. We can speak much of all what can happen, you know, because maybe the government's communications can come in form of directives, can come in form of written, and we have a percentage of illiterate Namibians. And how do
Thank you so much, Mukupi. Thank you so much.
That which I will make sure that...
Thank you. Rui, you are not done speaking on what constitutes meaningful dialogue.
I actually lost my train of thought there.
Yes.
But yeah, as I was saying, constructive dialogue needs to take place from a position of understanding the other person that you are engaging with. I mean, just look at the recent events that have transpired in the Zambezi region.
Yes.
The political party or a group of people that want to break away from Namibia. What is the cause of this grievance or these radical disagreements that they have? What conversations took place between government and this group of people? Or has it simply been a matter of sending the police or various sectors of the security cluster and chase them away, or whatever the case might be? We can, from the position of government, say, look, we will never allow a situation where the territorial integrity of the state is challenged, and rightfully so. Yes. I agree with that stance. But at the same time, we should always try to be meaningful and intentional about the way we deal with these issues. Let's have a conversation with these people. Let's talk to them and tell them why we disagree with them in a peaceful way. Mm-hmm. That conflict or that situation will not go away. And the reason why I'm saying this is that I've engaged with various people from the Zambezi region. Yes. Some people have concerns whether they are legitimate or illegitimate about the way they are being treated in this project or nation-building project called Namibia. And I keep on saying this, that for as long as Namibia remains a vibrant laboratory of identity, we will always have differences of opinion of how we deal with certain things. Ethnic groups that Ellison spoke about earlier. I mean, if you were to ask the question to any Namibian today, which ethnic group do you think benefits the most from state resources? My bet is as good as yours. Which ethnic group is marginalized? Which ethnic group is at the receiving end of discrimination of whatever form? Yes. So those are the things that we need to encourage and have as a nation. And I think we shouldn't only rely on government. As Namibians, we should start having those conversations in churches, universities, and at schools.
Okay, so you'd agree that it's both governments and the common people's role towards ensuring that there's meaningful dialogue that happens?
Absolutely.
Okay. Dr. Ellison, sorry for the title, Monsieur. No, yes. So I just want to find out, and drawing from Mukupi's contribution here tonight, would you say that really government should do more towards ensuring that dialogue is both inclusive? Because Mukupi drew from the fact that sometimes the language barrier acts as a barrier towards ensuring meaningful dialogue.
Yes. I think the government should do more. And perhaps the doing more have to be more practical. So I think we have to also appreciate the fact that dialogue is not just at the conversational level. I think it must be broader than that. So when the government consults, say, people in the Zambezi region, like before we bring in any development interventions, we want to hear from you, like in terms of what are the things that are on top of your need list, right? Like what is it that we need as a community of that particular region?
But hasn't government already been doing that?
I don't know.
Okay.
But you could have a hunch of what has been happening from the grievances that, for example, we are alluded to. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to emphasize here is that if ordinary citizens get a sense that they are being consulted in development projects, for example, so it shouldn't be the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development that just decide that we are going to the Zambezi region and for this year, this is what we're going to do in terms of development.
Yes.
So if you do that, if that is the conduct of the government, then the dialogue doesn't happen, you know. So you can go and have a community meeting somewhere in Makaravan, in Katimamulilo, to come and inform people that this is what we, as the ministry, decided. That's not dialogue. Yeah. So I think we have to differentiate, you know, between dialogue and monologue.
Definitely.
Because now if you just go and say, okay, this is an information sharing session and central government has decided that A, B, and C is gonna, you know, be done. So I think for any meaningful dialogue to happen, it must have some kind of substance. So we can't just, you know, say we have consulted, because there's this culture of ticking boxes. So people just say, no, we had 3 consultative meetings, and you know, I mean, Rui is from Lodredz, and I think he can attest to the fact that the number of meetings that have been happening in Lodredz over the green hydrogen issue, and you realize that sometimes communities think that these people of government are just coming here, you know, to tell us what they have already decided. Then you don't have any meaningful
Thank you so much, Dr.
conversation.
Yes, on today's agenda on Situation Critical, we're speaking about fostering an environment where there's meaningful dialogue. We take a break and return shortly.
Anyone for a water bottle? Need a water bottle?
Hi everyone, I'm so sorry, but Fun Day has been cancelled due to...
It's been a long year. So celebrate for Moss, not for persons under the age of 18.
Bottle or map?
No, I'm fine.
Welcome back. Rui, we're starting off with what are some key aspects or what are some key barriers that are preventing meaningful dialogue between government and its citizens?
Well, I think it's information asymmetry that Dr. Shirera was talking about earlier. For example, someone who is somewhere in Wahanas, in the Hardap region, does not have access to radio, does not have access to various forms of the media. So even if government representatives were to have conversations or a dialogue with that said community, from what standpoint would these people be able to really hold government accountable in terms of the various development agendas that they might have for that said region? So poverty of information is a serious issue, and I think consulting communities just for the mere sake of ticking boxes is not sufficient. I'll give you one good example of what transpired in a village in a country that I shall not mention. So there was this international organization that went to this village, and he went to this village without talking to anyone. He wanted to observe what are the development projects that are happening in that village. So he observed that the women in that village walk approximately 10 kilometers to the nearest water point. And he thought, I think we need to put up a water infrastructure in their immediate vicinity. Mm-hmm. So he wrote his report, flew back where he came from. After 2 months, he came back with a team of contractors. They set up the water infrastructure, and he flew back again without engaging with anyone. No dialogue was had whatsoever. He came back after 6 months to conduct what you call impact assessment. He came back and realized that the women still walk that entire distance to go and fetch water. So out of curiosity, he called a meeting and asked them, you people, you are so primitive, what's wrong with you? I realized that you were not using water, you are not using the water that was constructed for you here, you are still walking the distance. Why is that the case? So one woman stood up and said, had you only consulted us, we would have told you that because our society is so patriarchal, women do not participate in community meetings. That distance of walking allows us to have our own meetings, have our own conversations of what's transpiring in our community. So we will not use that thing unless you address the cultural issue of patriarchy. So again, the input of communities becomes crucial. It's the whole issue of nothing about us without us. And I think some governments always tend to neglect that aspect. But you are governing on behalf of the people. You are the servant and not to be served.
Definitely. Tell us, what are your thoughts on that? What barriers do governments and citizens face towards ensuring that there's meaningful dialogue?
I think I've already touched on some of those things earlier.
Yes.
You know, if you do not have a situation whereby the dialogue has some, you know, kind of practical improvement in the lives of the people, then it's a meaningless dialogue. But I mean, with your permission, if I may just digress and perhaps, you know, take the conversation back to the whole, you know, 10th June in terms of, you know, dialogue vis-a-vis world civilizations. I think one thing that we have witnessed over the last couple of years is that we have entered a unipolar world. It's no longer about these, you know, big powers of, you know, the US, the Great Britain, and all this kind of stuff. Things have changed over time. And we realize that a number of conflicts that we have had over the last couple of years, or that we continue to have, also have got to do with clash of interest.
Definitely.
I think that's incredibly important, where sometimes a meaningful conversation doesn't happen because our interests are not aligned or are clashing. In some instances, if those interests are put on the table, you know, and people don't resort to, say, violence, then perhaps you can have meaningful conversation. And again, Rivaldo, with your permission, if I can also take you back a little bit.
Yes.
There's a political scientist by the name of Samuel Huntington. I think we would know about that gentleman. Some time back, he wrote about what he called the clash of civilizations. And his argument was, there's this West on the one hand and then somewhat everyone else. And I think his work was critiqued and debunked by Edward Said, the American Palestinian political theorist and literary critic, who actually argued that the whole idea of clash of civilizations is a myth. So what we have is, clash of interest.
Yes.
So perhaps if we can just, I think call a spade what it is, because this somewhat materialized itself, this clash of interest, at various dimensions. So if you look at intergenerational clashes, say here in Namibia, we can actually, I think see it happening every other day, where the old folks tend to look at the young people with disdain and scorn and say, this is not how we were during our time. And it appears that, each kind of old generation blames the younger one. It always happens for one reason or the other.
Dr. Ellison, would you mind just parking your thought there? We have another caller on the line. Good evening, Tony. We have Tony all the way from Keetmanshoop. Good evening, Tony, and welcome to Situation Critical.
Good morning.
Good evening. Welcome to Situation Critical.
Good evening. Good evening. Yes. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes. What I want to emphasize is actually, are we together?
Yes, we are together, Tony. You may contribute to the discussion here tonight.
Yes, please. I'm so fond of what is happening, what you are really guys talking about. And I'm also want to be willing to say that, like the Dr. Shirari have alluded, we as the ministries, the budgeted funds for the different ministries, we need each other. We go to Kavango region, the Ministry of Communication needs a Ministry of Construction to reach there. The Ministry of, those budgeted funds should also be accompanied, or they should have a unique commission or a board of, I don't know how to call them, just to get the ministries together to share the funds and make the right decisions at the right time for the to put things together so that what the Ministry of Health cannot suffer because of road construction. We have to be.
Yes, Tony, can you please be brief?
Come again? Can
you please wrap up your contribution?
Yes, please. Yeah. What I want to do is really I want us, the community, the ministries to have a board of directors or just to put things together. Once they attack that region for development, they do it in one and the planned blueprint that has been done and constructively. That's all
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you so much, Tony. Rui, what do you make of Tony's contributions?
Well, it goes back to what we have said earlier about citizens being involved in policies and projects that ultimately affects their material situation. But as a country, from where we are and where we are going, we have a lot of work to do. The situation on the ground calls for collective action from government, from civil society, from ordinary Namibians to address the issues that we have. And if we do not address those issues, Namibia will become a country like what we have witnessed in certain parts of Africa and the Middle East. We do not want to have that situation. Security instability, political instability. It's in no one's interest for there to be political instability. But for us not to reach that far, we need to address the bread and butter issues that Namibians are crying for.
Definitely. Dr. Ellison, earlier you took us back to June's 10th, where really the theme was dialogue among civilizations. Recently, we all had the privilege, and I think really it was a moment where we all lived in history, where we got to witness the meeting of President Donald Trump and President Ramaphosa. Would you say that constituted meaningful dialogue?
No, not really.
Why was that?
I mean, if we know the character of Donald Trump, he thrives in the art of humiliation. I mean, you see how the exchange went. I mean, yes. But of course Ramaphosa was a bit more composed and statesman. So I don't think that I don't think anyone would have a meaningful conversation with Donald Trump. He is a bully, and he would probably most of the times engage in a monologue, tell you how things should be, and he will tell you his, take on issues, and he thinks that his way is the only way. I mean, look how he humiliated President Zelensky. I mean, in front of camera. So it's this politics of spectacle, that is meant to humiliate. So to me, that's not a meaningful conversation, not at all.
Rui, what lessons do you think states can take towards the engagement, towards ensuring that engagements between states are more meaningful from the whole spectacle of President Trump and President Ramaphosa?
Well, look, President Trump suffers from cognitive dissonance. There's no other way to put it. And it's not only him, it's also citizens of various countries, even in Namibia. If you look at debates on social media platforms on a particular issue, people are not there to talk about the issue. They are there to talk about the person that is talking about the issue. And that is a fundamental problem that we have in our political discourse and discussions. People come with a preconceived idea of what it is that they believed, and even if they are presented with facts that goes against their views, they remain steadfast in what they believe in. There's also the issue of education inferiority. So if someone thinks that person B is more educated than they are, they tend to be very defensive in how they engage. But even educated people tend to make arguments that are foolish by their very nature. People say they are educated fools, whatever the case might be.
Educated idiots.
Educated idiots. But we have seen individuals in society projecting themselves as knowing everything. There's no one that has a monopoly on knowledge. Even as lecturers, we don't have a monopoly of knowledge. When we engage with our students, we actually encourage them to criticize us, to critique us. And that's how we learn in the process as well, because we are not necessarily there to teach a top-down approach. We are there to facilitate learning, and it goes both ways.
Earlier you made an example in your answer towards social media and its usage. We've seen that the usage of social media has become increasingly popular in giving people a voice. However, it has also really defied what constitutes real dialogue. Why would you say that that is the case?
Well, social media has somehow emboldened people to say whatever they want. Especially people that are cowards. They can be sitting somewhere on a toilet pot, doing a number 2, and they will say, Minister so-and-so is stupid.
But isn't that the essence of dialogue, of meaningful dialogue? Being able to say what you want?
It's not meaningful in the sense because they can say certain things in a very uncivil way without any form of accountability, using vulgar language, derogatory language. That's why we have seen many people being sued. That's a different discussion for a different day. But social media has also accorded people that would ordinarily be shy to have an engagement the way we are having it here. But the question is, to what extent are they using social media in a responsible way? That is the question. The other issue about social media is that people can create fake accounts. You know, I don't like Ellison, I don't like Minister so-and-so. I create a fake account and I say anything under the sun that might not be true. How do you hold that person accountable? And that's what the negative aspect of social media has been and still is. Issues of cybersecurity, for example. But we have a long way to go. If social media is used for the right way, and I think government has a presence on various social media platforms, but because of the digital divide, does it reach the masses of the people?
Definitely. Dr. Ellison, your thoughts on that?
Well, one thing that I can tell you is that I'm somewhat insulated from the madness that happen on social media because I'm not on social media.
Wow.
But I think I would echo Ree's sentiments that, for the most part, and I think we can specifically speak about Namibia. For the most part, social media has been misused by people who are not interested in any meaningful conversation, who are just there to, injure others' reputation, and this thing of also fake accounts, or sometimes the person says Rivalto, but then the picture that is there is of a frog. Now you don't know if you are talking to a human being or a frog. Anyway, so but I think at the same time, social media can be used productively. It has that power to, disseminate meaningful information, to bridge miscommunications, or to bring about mutual understanding and the like. So, but in the greater scheme of things, if you can, I would say stay away from social media. It's not good for your brain generally. I'm not saying that I have a good brain because of not being in social media, but there's too much toxicity that happens on social media, unfortunately.
Definitely. But do you really think that dialogue can change minds, or is it more about coexisting in disagreement?
Yeah. I think the important thing is coexistence. And you see, when you are having a conversation with someone, your purpose shouldn't be to convince that person or to change that person's worldview.
Yes.
But it's to enable that person to understand your position. And if you articulate it properly and it resonates with that person, maybe that person would, change his or her views. But the idea shouldn't be to change people's views. There's no way that we would have, same views on a number of things, or would not agree on a lot of things. But we coexist. We are in an interdependent world. So again, countries would have different interests. But are you articulating your interest as clearly as possible? And again, if I may, if you look at how a good number of, say, African countries have been kept on the margins in terms of, either information about investments or all this kind of stuff. It's, again, information asymmetry. So when the American delegation, for example, come to Namibia looking for investment opportunities, they already know a lot of things that Namibians don't know. So when you have that power of information, you would always have a conversation from a privileged position. And therefore, the only way that, countries can be able to have meaningful conversation with others is to arm themselves properly with information. And that means that you should also have very competent people in various positions of the country. So the less information you have, the less meaningful conversation you would have, or the more prone you would be to be convinced by someone else, because you don't have sufficient information. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and that's even dangerous.
Exactly. Rui, what are your sentiments on that? Do you think dialogue can really change minds, or is it more about coexisting in disagreements?
The first question you need to ask is, whose mind do you want to change? And can that person's mind be changed? But I think the most crucial thing about conversations and dialogues and disagreements is that it ought to be about progress and not defeating the other person, depending on the issue that is being discussed. You would see it on various social media platforms when people are having a debate. It's not necessarily about the issue that is being discussed. It's actually about defeating the other person, that they've won the argument on the particular issue. And that's not progress. And our thinking of how we engage with one another, we should be prone or be more receptive towards having a viewpoint that is different from ours, and our minds being changed because we are confronted with different facts and an opinion that actually makes sense for progress. If we enter negotiations or dialogues from that standpoint, I think as a society we will go far. After all, it's not a broadcast in a church called Holy Water Ministries or the Devil is a Liar, where the person says, all of you, there'll be prosperity tomorrow. You have no participation in that. Or in a community meeting somewhere in Okonjatu, that if you are poor, you cannot participate in a meeting because people will say you want to confuse people. You know, those kind of things. But all in all, I think every human being, especially in a country like Namibia, has a contribution to make. The key question is, to what extent are we willing to listen to difference of opinion?
Okay. And now, what role do you think traditional leaders can play in restoring a culture of dialogue in increasingly modernized societies?
Well, traditional leaders are the reservoirs of culture. They are there to keep their communities intact in terms of cultural practices. And I think they remain a voice of reason in the various communities. The only problem I have with traditional leaders is when they start aligning themselves with various political formations in the country, because people belong to different political parties.
Thank you so much.
If they don't do that, it's a problem.
Thank you so much, Ali. We always leave you with an African proverb, and this week's proverb is, when the roots of a tree begin to decay, it spreads death to the branches. This proverb reminds us that when the foundation of understanding and communication is broken, conflict and division will inevitably spread. Just as dialogue serves as the root of peace and unity, its absence can erode trust and harmony throughout society. Healthy dialogue nourishes the tree of community. Without it, the whole structure begins to fall apart. Until next time, remember the tagline, Situation Critical, Minds Philosophical. Peace and love. Good night.
This year, we joined the global community in celebrating International Archives Week from the 9th to the 13th of June 2025. This year's theme is Archives Are Accessible, Archives for Everyone.
As we mark International Archives Week, we are reminded that the stories we tell today becomes tomorrow's history. At NBC, we don't just broadcast, we preserve the soul of the nation. This week, we are honoring our duty to safeguard Namibia's media heritage for generations to come.
When users normally come to request for visual material, I will ask them to give me more information on it. It could be the event, could be the broadcast date, the title of the program. So I need to go back and conduct a research on our ABCD database to get all the relevant information for them.
Archives for Everyone. A powerful reminder that archives should be inclusive, open, and accessible to all. As we embrace the digital era, this theme encourages us to break barriers and ensure that everyone can connect with, learn from, and contribute to our shared history.
We have 3 video cassette recorders that are used at the news archives, namely the DVC Pro, the DVCam, and the Betacam machine, which are compatible to different formats of tapes, namely the DVC Pro tapes, the Mini DV tapes, and the Betacam tapes. They are all linked to our local servers for transformation of audio-visual material, making it easily accessible to our users.
As we close, let us remember preserving our archives means protecting our truth. At NBC, that responsibility does not only end this week. It continues every day for every Namibian.
Happy International Archives Week!
Looking for the best in local entertainment? NBC2 is your home channel. Brighten up your little one's mornings with Sunshine Club, a fun and educational kiddies show.
Stay tuned.
For the youth, Just Teens brings you the latest trends and entertainment.
Renewal of vows, future repercussions of that.
Get inspired by real-life change makers on Legend of Change. Find faith, hope, and inspiration with uplifting religious programs. Stay informed with On the Street with City Police, keeping you safe and street smart. Celebrate love, culture, and grand moments on The Wedding Show. And for the sports lovers, we've got all the action from local soccer, coming in! Rugby, and more. Love local music? Watagwan brings you the hottest beats. Catch it all, Channel 102 on NBC Decoder and Channel 283 on DSTV. NBC2, your home channel.
From the heart of Africa, where stories unfold, voices are heard, and the pulse of the nation beats. Welcome to NBC One, Namibia's most trusted news source. At NBC One, we bring Namibia and the world to you. Join us for a full range of content, news, interviews, documentaries, live parliamentary broadcasts, and so much more. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay connected. NBC One, your source for news that matters.
Welcome to the 2025 Wandangwa Trade and Industrial Exhibition from June 27th to July 5th, 2025. We invite all businesses, SMEs, and corporate entities to be a part of this transformative event. Apply now. The closing date is April 30th, 2025. Corporate stand for 3,000 Namibian dollars. SME stand for 2,200 Namibian dollars. Outdoor corporate stand for 2,000 Namibian dollars. Food and beverage kiosk of 2,500 Namibian dollars. Outdoor SME stand 600 Namibian dollars. Come together to forge resilient industries through innovation and partnerships.
Good evening, Namibia. Goeienaand vir almal. Miture. Thank you so much for joining us for our primetime bulletin here on NBC One. My name is Ivan Shishanda, and I'll be your host for tonight. Alongside me is Nanda Shipahu for the sign language interpretation.
Now to start off our bulletin, as countries attempt to keep up with digital transformation and its impact on driving opportunities across all sectors, the Angolan government is hosting an ICT forum that brings together all ICT role players under one roof. The two-day forum kicks off tomorrow, and the Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Emma Theophilus, leads the Namibian delegation. NBC reporter Selima Henok is in Angola, Luanda, and earlier reported on what is expected.
We are at Talatona Convention Center that is in Luanda, Angola, where the Information and Communication Technology Summit is expected to commence from the 12th to the 14th of June. And the forum or the summit is organized by the Angolan government and have industry players, and that is from the continent and also globally, just to share knowledge and also discuss on ICT trends that are currently happening and also future ICT trends. We are expecting the Information and Communication Technology Minister from Namibia leading the delegation to be part of this summit. There will also be exhibitions that will be showcased from within the continent and also globally, where they will be sharing new trends that are happening now in the sector. There will be different topics covered during this forum, and that is on connectivity, artificial intelligence, digital DNA, cybersecurity, and creating trust in the companies. So we will be at the center to bring you more information on the ICT sector. Do stay tuned. My name is Selima Henok, reporting from Luanda, Angola.
Regional and local authority councils from opposition parties have been reminded to refrain from acting independently from the central government. Minister of Urban and Rural Development James Samkwasa said no regional nor local authority council should operate in such fashion.
Governors, regional and local authority councillors, chief executive and chief regional officers are gathered at Swakopmund for a two-day meeting. They are examining, amongst others, the impact their policies have on service delivery to the masses. The Minister of Urban and Rural Development wanted their participants to refrain from playing political games where some councils act as if they are independent from other government organs.
Therefore, I plead with those who harbor the misguided understanding that belonging to an opposition party means being independent from the whims of central government, because it's not a correct understanding.
Sankwasa noted that the past 2 months in office has revealed several good and bad practices by the authorities, which the meeting should find solutions to.
We are going to look at the political interface between the administration and the political leaders elected to lead the political direction of each regional council or local authority, including the ministry. We shall look at the performance of the councils in the last 5 years, because we are going to have elections now. How did we perform in the last 5 years? We shall look into the issue of misappropriation of and the land management. How have we managed the land in the last 5 years?
Sankwasa wants the authorities to implement the Swapo Party Manifesto, which has become the government's development program. The Irongo governor highlighted the need for all leaders to work together.
Whether you are a councillor in local authority or regional council, from Swapo Party or opposition, we must work towards the implementation of all government developmental agenda, including the Swapo Party Manifesto. This is because every Namibian staying in this country deserves the benefit from the development programs of government.
Minister Sankwasa further wants the meeting to provide solutions to housing and sanitation, especially in informal settlements. He called for the acceleration of land delivery in urban areas, rural housing, water and electricity supply to reduce increasing urbanization. Renate Renkura, NBC News, Swakopmund.
The neutrality of expert witness Jonathan Kashimune has come under scrutiny in the ongoing legal dispute over the Ovaherero Paramount chieftaincy currently before the Windhoek High Court. Kashimune, who testified against the recognition of Professor Mushinde Kashiwa as Paramount Chief, said Kashiwa's chieftaincy did not follow established Ovaherero customary procedures when he ascended to the role in March 2022.
Kashiwa's appointment, which was officiated by a faction within the Ovaherero community, has been a subject of controversy. During cross-examination, Advocate Rainer Tottemeyer, representing Kashiwa, questioned the impartiality of Kashimune, describing him as a supporter of the Vipuira Kapuo faction. Tottemeyer argued that this alignment undermines Kashimune's credibility as a neutral cultural expert. Tottemeyer also criticized the substance of Kashimune's testimony, saying that it lacked historical and documentary support. Kashimune, who was called to testify as a Ovaherero cultural expert and high priest, maintained that his position was rooted in tradition rather than political allegiance. He argued that Kashiwa bypassed customary laws by unilaterally calling a chief's council meeting, which ultimately led to his own appointment. According to Kashimune, the authority to convene such a meeting rests with the chairperson of the Chiefs Council, especially in the absence of a sitting paramount chief. Court resumes tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Kavango West regional leaders and the police have called for community collaboration in addressing crime and in accelerating development across the region. The leaders made the appeal while visiting Silikunga village in the Mpungu constituency of Kavango West as part of one such community outreach program.
Let's see.
Engaging with the community, Kavango West Police Commander Julia Sakua Neo and Kavango West Governor Verna Sinimbo stressed the need for a collaborative approach to tackling crime and driving regional progress. Commissioner Sakua Neo encouraged community members to work hand in hand with law enforcement to tackle crime, emphasizing the crucial role parents play in shaping safer communities. She urged parents to guide their children on the importance of discipline and obedience, values she said that foster safe communities. Community members in the Mpungu constituency raised multiple concerns regarding inadequate government services, infrastructure gaps, and safety issues affecting their daily lives. They bemoaned the lack of adequate policing services in the area, citing personal experiences with stock theft incidences, where he receiving insufficient assistance from law enforcement authorities. This has left many residents feeling vulnerable and unprotected against criminal activity. Meanwhile, parents expressed serious concerns about their children's safety, particularly regarding the long distances they have to walk to school. They said these extended journeys expose young people to various dangers, including the risk of trafficking, creating anxiety among families about their children's well-being. The community's concerns highlight the need for improved service delivery, infrastructure development, and enhanced safety measures to address the challenges facing residents in their daily lives. The governor appealed to police to launch a region-wide crackdown on drug-related activities, citing growing concern that drug abuse contributes to an increase in the crime rate in the region. The Kavango West Regional Council, through its community outreach program, intends to visit all 8 constituencies before 19 June.
Still to come in our news bulletin. Electoral Commission of Namibia registers 2 new political parties. And government plans for equitable distribution of attractions to prevent over-tourism spatial death plan. That and more stories coming up after a short trip to the marketplace. Stay tuned.
It's your favorite
private influencer, Uncle Gabu, here to share secrets on how to save and win a car.
Win one of 3 Hyundai Grand i10 sedans. Buy any participating product and swipe your rewards card to enter. Get 175-gram Protect soap. Buy any 2 for $24 and save $14. Or 200-gram Baker's Murray biscuits. Buy any 2 for $32 and save $12.
And that's why we shop at Spar.
Oh, hey, you there. Are you one of those people that always want to cut corners and settle for less? Let's talk genuine versus, I know a guy. Sure, they might look the same, and hell, it might even fit. But will it last? Or will it perform? I doubt it. It's like eating kapana without the kapana spice. It's ali nasmaki. So with precisely engineered parts, let's keep your Toyota a Toyota.
Welcome back. Now, the Namibian political landscape expanded as 2 new political parties were officially registered with the Electoral Commission of Namibia, bringing the total number of registered political parties to 25. These are People Unite for Change, PUC, and Namibia Progressive Party, NAPPA.
Electoral and Referenda Officer Peter Sharma says both parties were granted registration certificates on the 11th of this month. The certificates authorize them to contest in the upcoming local authority and regional elections in November.
I am pleased to announce that, or to inform you that the process has now been completed and your parties have been duly registered. I have officially entered the names into the register of the political parties, associations and organizations as required by the law. At this juncture, I trust I am addressing the authorized representatives of your respective parties as a crucial role defined in the Electoral Act. Just to give you a definition, any authorized representative serves as a key link between the political party and the commission.
The People Unite for Change, PUC, is led by Ernestus Achakwep as president. The party emphasizes social and economic upliftment, particularly for marginalized and previously disadvantaged groups, such as the Heingom and the San communities.
PUC has been graded because 65% of our people, indigenous people, the marginalized community, is underrepresented politically in Namibia, and they are left out from the mainstream political formations in Namibia, and they have got no political representative in all levels of society. And that is the reason, number one, to bring them into the mainstream political squares of Namibia, and then to build from there, because we have just been the voting cows of other political parties. And then the other political parties, they will come into our areas with their candidates, and they will impose their candidates upon our people. So now the aim of the party is that the people themselves must have a voice by putting amongst themselves from their own communities their political party representatives, so that they can have the direct representation in their areas, and then be able even to recall their own candidates by holding them accountable if they are not addressing their needs. That is the main reason the party has been established.
The Namibia Progressive Party, NAPA, whose president is Penda Nironga, did not attend the certificate handover. ECN also has 18 registered organizations and associations. Johanna Uritkos, NBC News, Windhoek.
The executive director in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Sikongo Hayambo, says the Namibian National Parami-National Tourism Spatial Development Master Plan will play a critical role in promoting a wider range of tourist attraction destination, in so doing preventing over-tourism, as notably recorded in 2019, when Namibia received 1.5 million inbound tourists. He highlighted the effect of over-tourism, defined as when the number of tourists exceeds the country's capacity to comfortably accommodate them, which puts negative pressure on areas of high visitor concentration.
Over-tourism occurs when a majority of tourists concentrate their visits on one or two popular destinations, such as Sossusvlei and Etosha National Park. This leads to negative impacts on the environment, local communities, and the overall visitor experience. It can also damage natural and cultural resources and threaten the long-term sustainability of the tourism sector. Executive Director in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Sikongo Hayambo, who was speaking at the Government Information Center, says to address these challenges, the master plan will distribute tourism more evenly across all regions and attractions. By doing so, it reduces the strain on heavily visited sites and promotes sustainable growth throughout the sector, ensuring that tourism benefits are balanced and that environmental and cultural assets are preserved.
For instance, Etosha. Can you imagine Etosha receiving, for instance, 1.2 million? It may sound like the 1.5 is spread across the entire Namibia. Right. The ecosystem in Etosha would therefore be put under a lot of strain. And ecologically, you would want to maintain a balance. That is why, therefore, it was felt that Namibia is a vast country. It's 825,000 square kilometers. And therefore, there should be other areas where we can develop our tourism. The idea of the Spatial Development Plan was therefore born.
The master plan further aims to create over 80,000 direct jobs in the tourism sector by 2030, up from the current 57,000. He emphasized the unique opportunities presented by the master plan, particularly Namibia's rich cultural heritage and diversity, which are owned by Namibians and have strong appeal for tourists.
We're looking at conservancies. There are a number of conservancies in this country. We're talking about 42, and it's bound to grow. It provides that unique opportunities to the communities that are out there to participate in the tourism sector.
The National Tourism Spatial Development Master Plan is one of several strategic interventions designed to revive and strengthen the tourism sector post-pandemic. Siaman Bikwa, NBC News.
The Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism recently held consultation on the national policy on prospecting and mining in protected areas of Rundu.
The engagement was spearheaded by the Deputy Director for Wildlife Research and Monitoring, Kenneth Uesep.
This draft policy is guided by a number of key principles. These are like the high values to which we want to subscribe to ensure that the policy talks to the issues of concern or issues we are concerned with. The very first principle is that protected areas provide economic benefits. So in whatever we do, we must make sure that protected areas, whether we allow mining or not, whether we allow prospecting in protected areas or not, we must make sure that protected areas continue to provide those economic benefits.
The Rundu Urban Councillor, Victoria Kahuma, called for the consultation process to be inclusive and that more time be given to the affected residents to digest the information effectively for better understanding and positive feedback results concerning the draft policy.
Policies, which is talking about the life of a person or uplifting life of people, should be taken very serious when it comes to consultation. Should not be taken light.
Other participants argued that the consultation period was not sufficient.
Because it's a traditional authority, they are obliged to give consent to these mining activities. That is what the law said. They are compelled. And both Kavango West, Kavango East, the traditional authorities were not consulted. I think we just need to be fair and ensure that they are properly consulted.
How long did it take you for the two ministries to assemble this document that you are consulting only for 3 hours or so? So, in your view, if you took even 2 to 3 months to assemble this document, then you consulted people for 3 hours. In your view, is it fair? Or you are just trying to have a rubber stamp? But I could not see how this policy or act is going to be aligned with the land bill that is about to be consulted on or to be approved by the parliament very soon.
To make the situation very difficult, the consultation meeting is taking place in a rondo, while the entire majorities, they are not resident of Rondo. I want to know how many people who should be present in the meeting.
The consultation started on the 12th of May and is expected to end on the 26th of June 2025 in Windhoek. Setrang Dinwa, MICT Kavango East, Rondo.
A stakeholder engagement event is to be hosted at Ongwediva in the Oshana region to promote the graduate studies program of the Southern African Science Servicing Center for Climate Change and Adaptive Land Management Integrated Water Resource Management. The event aims to highlight best practices, research advancement, and success stories from the SASCAL Graduate Studies program.
The gathering will provide information about student admission for the 2026 academic year, offering prospective students and partners insight into application processes and academic opportunities. SASCAL program coordinator in Namibia, Panduleni Hamkwaya, says that Namibia can further engage with the initiative for the sake of capacity building and hosting outreach events. Last year, SASCAL conducted a nationwide campaign across all 14 regions, raising awareness about the Green Hydrogen Study Program and mobilizing young Namibians to apply. Currently, 160 students are enrolled in the program for undergraduate and postgraduate studies.
Today we are here with a renewed mission, this time focusing on doctoral studies. We aim to provide comprehensive under this platform about SASCAL Graduate Study Program Integrated Water Resource Management, which aligns with SASCAL Namibia Center of Excellence in Water Resource Management.
The study field is considered vital given the increasing importance of sustainable water resource management both locally and in the region. Director of Science, Technology and Capacity Development at SASCAL Regional Secretariat, Budi Zanani Tacheba, underscored the need to build resilience through dedicated human capital.
This, in our view as SASCAL, presents a great opportunity for maintaining water security, which encompasses water availability, water accessibility, its sustainability, as well as the resources to meet the needs of humans, ecosystems, and productive economies.
The program is a joint initiative by the government of Angola, Botswana, Germany, Namibia, South Africa, and Zambia. Kanatenia Imbodi, NBC News, Ngwediva.
The news returns after a short break. Stay tuned.
Express Credit, take and win.
Express Credit is all about fast and easy loans. Sam, can you guess which documents you need for instant cash?
Let me see. I'm saying yes to the cash with option A, which is ID or passport, 3-month bank statement, credit loans application form, as well as your payslip.
That's correct, Sam. Well done.
Submit your documents and SMS WIN to 32274 and you stand a chance to win your share of 5,000 Namibian dollars every week. T's and C's apply. Express Credit. Money when you need it.
Live in the moment, not in the worry. With comprehensive cover for true peace of mind. Santam, this is freedom.
Welcome back. Popular Democratic Movement MP Winnie Mongo is concerned about the mushrooming of nursing and health training institutions in Namibia. Mongo said the number of these institutions is growing rapidly, faster than ever before. She's worried about the quality of teaching and how these schools are being assessed.
Mongo explained that the system that controls these training schools is not working well. Some people are opening health training schools as businesses through the Ministry of Trade and Industry, but they are not properly checked to see if their services are good or safe for the public. She said this problem allows people to make money from nursing training without following proper procedures, stressing that this could impact on the quality of healthcare training in Namibia.
The impact of this disjoint system is both immediate and long-term. Our public hospitals are now overcrowded, not only with patients, but with nursing students from multiple institutions, many of whom are inadequately supervised or supported in their clinical learning. Professional nurses are overwhelmed, expected to mentor dozens of students in settings not designed for such high volumes.
She expressed particular concern about qualifications being awarded by unaccredited institutions, criticizing the Namibia Qualifications Authority, saying many training schools do not have full approval. Some institutions even trick students by saying they are working on getting approval, but they are not yet fully accredited. Another PDM member of parliament, Rosambinge Sheundo, agreed with Mongo. She called for an urgent check on these health training schools, especially as many new ones are opening all over the country.
Another issue of concern is whether the programs being offered by these new health training institutions are aligned with the actual demand of the Namibian healthcare labor market. The Namibian Labor Force Survey 2023 reported that while there remains a shortage of specialized medical professionals, such as pharmacists, psychotherapists, and laboratory technologists, there is now an oversupply of generalist qualifications in nursing and community health work.
The Minister of Health and Social Services, Dr. Esperance Luvindau, replied on the motion.
That we move this to discuss this matter, this motion, in 2 weeks after the relevant discussions have taken place with the relevant ministers, the relevant stakeholders, in order to bring forward a relevant solution to the problem.
So we adjourn until the earliest day, so that the Honourable, until the 17th, and then the Minister can adjourn it to the 25th, if the Minister is not ready to make a contribution that time.
Martha Mwafengeo, NBC News, Parliament.
The University of Namibia says there is a noticeable rise in interest from Namibians who opt to donate their future remains to the institution's School of Medicine.
UNAM spokesperson Simon Namesha says the number of people signing up to donate their future cadavers to the institution for research purposes has increased sharply since February. Namesha says between February and May alone, 4 Namibians officially pledged to donate their bodies. The total number of bodies donated since the program started in 2010 now stands at 15. Namesha added that more than 25 people have now contacted UNAM's Division of Anatomy since February to ask for donor forms or to get more information on how body donations works. He says the 4 new pledges already represent a full quarter of all the pledges UNAM has received in the past 15 years. He says this shows Namibians are becoming more open to the idea of donating their bodies to science and want to help improve medical training in Namibia. Namesha said local body donations are important because they remove the need for expensive and complicated procedures necessary to bring in cadavers from outside the country.
A pensioner and his family from Silumbi village in the Katima rural constituency in the Zambezi region lost everything that was kept in a hut that was used as a kitchen, caught fire and burned down the early hours of Monday.
Eugene Simwanza told NBC News at Silumbi that he woke up to find his hut in the same courtyard ablaze at 3 o'clock in the early hours of Monday. He says there was no fire in the hut, neither was it connected to electricity, and they do not understand where the fire came from after midnight. Simwanza says nothing was salvaged from the burning hut as the flames were already too intense to do anything.
The loss I suffered is too much. We lost all our cooking utensils, all our pots, the cupboard, stove, 50 kgs of maize meal, and the dining set all got destroyed in the fire.
The headman at Silumbi Sabkuta, Bonwell Matengu, said that it was hard to understand because the cooking hut next to the burnt hut had no fire at the time they went to sleep. Matengu said he reported the fire to the constituency office at Bukalo, who arrived in the morning to assess the damage caused by the fire. He is appealing to Good Samaritans to assist the victims who lost all their food and other essentials.
I want to request sincerely to government and other institutions and individuals who can assist under disasters of this nature to at least assist the old man because he has nothing as a pensioner whose pension has been exhausted. The loss he incurred is too severe. They don't have any food to eat and only one glass plate was left from all the dishes they had. The rest were reduced to ashes in this hut.
The loss is estimated by the victim at more than $30,000. Sililomviana, NBC News, Silumbi Village.
South Africa aims to phase out outdated 2G and 3G networks by 2027. To accelerate this transition, mobile operators are offering 4G smartphones for as little as $90. However, millions in rural areas still lack access to next generation mobile coverage. CGTN has more on that story.
South African telecommunications giant MTN is leading an innovative push to switch over 1 million users to 4G as the country plans to retire second and third generation legacy networks. Behind the move is a Chinese-made Intel smartphone that costs just $5 and puts digital services in the hands of the most poor.
90% of what you are enjoying on your very expensive smartphone, the grandma in the village will be able to do and enjoy the same type of service. She'll be able to do a video call, she'll be able to do a WhatsApp video call, she'll be able to WhatsApp social media platforms, any app, internet banking, anything. The children will be able to do homework, access sites, and all of that.
Devices are important because we need to bring the price of devices down in order to make them more affordable. And I think what is important is the scale. So as China manufactures more and more of these low-cost devices, they become cheaper and cheaper per unit, which helps very much.
China's involvement in Africa goes well beyond devices. Network infrastructure leaders like Huawei have been instrumental in fast-tracking the continent's mobile upgrade, bringing millions online faster than anticipated.
MTN network is predominantly on the network side Chinese. I think we're 80%. They've made very good inroads. They've provided us a lot of support. They've given us progressive technologies to help us to drive 4G and 5G in this market.
The growing popularity of satellite technologies are adding to the list of options. Most South African cities have blanket 4G and 5G coverage, but outside that map, connectivity is patchy.
We see satellite technologies as complementary. Non-terrestrial for us is a complementary part of the jigsaw. We don't see them as necessarily a direct competitor. We think they can provide services where we are not able to reach.
South Africa is leading the race to switch off 2G and 3G networks on the continent. While most mobile users have access to 4G, failure to migrate millions on legacy networks by the end of 2027 will delay efforts to repurpose earlier generations and expand newer technologies in line with global ambitions.
And a warm welcome. East wind conditions are expected in the Namibia as well as over the coastal areas, where also sandstorms are most likely. Let's have a look on the synoptic conditions. The high pressure system there advecting moisture over the northern parts of the country, also in association with a cut-off low in the mid-levels. Also the tight pressure gradient along the western areas, mainly responsible for the sandstorms. Now on to the forecast. Partly cloudy over the northern parts with a few showers at places. Elsewhere, sunny spells forecast, as well as sandstorms along the Namib and the coastal areas. For the minimum temperatures, a low of 5 at Aruap, very cold at Grobabos and Beitepos, as well as Grootfontein, 3 degrees Celsius there. Windhoek 5, 12 at Ondangwa, and a low of 16 degrees at Walvis Bay. For the maximum temperatures, hot at the northern parts of the country with 27 degrees Celsius, 28 at Inanna. In the east, warm at Rundu, 22 degrees at Windhoek, mild conditions there, and also mild at Keetmanshoop in the south with 23. For the coastal areas, very hot at Walvis Bay, 32 degrees Celsius, and it's going to warm up to 23 at Lutherets. That is all from the Weather Service. Have a great evening.
And the Shipahu continue to stay warm. Namibia. Up next is Sports News. Good night. Have a lovely week ahead.
This is NBC One. It's ours.
This
This year, we joined the global community in celebrating International Archives Week from the 9th to the 13th of June 2025. This year's theme is Archives Are Accessible, Archives for Everyone.
As we mark International Archives Week, we are reminded that the stories we tell today becomes tomorrow's history. At NBC, we don't just broadcast, we preserve the soul of the nation. This week, we are honoring our duty to safeguard Namibia's media heritage for generations to come.
When users normally come to request for visual material, I will ask them to give me more information on it. It could be the event, could be the broadcast date, the title of the program. So I need to go back and conduct a research on our ABCD database to get all the relevant information for them.
Archives for everyone. A powerful reminder that archives should be inclusive, open, and accessible to all. As we embrace the digital era, this theme encourages us to break barriers and ensure that everyone can connect with, learn from, and contribute to our shared history.
We have 3 video cassette recorders that are used at the news archives, namely the DVC Pro, the DVCam, and the Betacam machine, which are compatible to different formats of tapes, namely the DVC Pro tapes, the Mini DV tapes, and the Betacam tapes. They are all linked to our local servers for transformation of audio-visual material, making it easily accessible to our users.
As we close, let us remember preserving our archives means protecting our truth. At NBC, that responsibility does not only end this week. It continues every day for every Namibian.
Happy International Archives Week!
Not sure what to do this weekend?
I've spoken to quite a few guys that are there, and they're showing great strength.
Let the Sports Breakfast Show kickstart your Saturday morning. We're bringing you an exclusive sneak peek of the local sports scene right to your screen.
It's a nice outing for a Saturday for everyone.
From bustling cities to vibrant towns, we are your gateway to a weekend filled with action, competition, and local pride.
Was coming to you live here from the VIS Vegkop Stadium in the heart of the capital.
Look, the Battle of All for NBC is quite an important part of how we do business.
Whether you are a die-hard sports fan or just looking for some weekend action, we've got you covered. Our expert analysis does not only cover the game, it brings them to life.
Prepare for an unforgettable weekend build-up all from the comfort of your couch, setting the stage for you to catch the excitement live from your favorite venues.
Sometimes it's just something that happens and you can't do anything about it.
From morning to evening, the best of local sports is just a press of a button away. So set your alarm.
And join us every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on the Sports Breakfast Show.
With me, Jeanette Krauses.
And me, Michelle Shapange.
NBC.
It's ours.
My sister, stop. Okay? In fact, Kinyetsi. Wabon?
Have you managed to sort out this issue, Yaprina? I just don't think it's fair for Hurna Ngasi Krisik in the divorce.
Divorce?
Sandile.
Ngithengila and ngizokhuluma nawe.
Every Thursday at 7 p.m. on NBC2, step onto the field with Soccer Pitch, Namibia's premier football magazine show.
The rainy showers this Thursday have made this evening even more fantastic.
From top tire goals to locker room truths, our crew breaks down the game like no one else.
When it comes to the Women's Super League, we know who to look out for, and it is Nancy.
What a player! What a game! Hot takes on headline stories, deep dives into fixtures and results, behind-the-scenes scoops from club insiders. Get up close with the stars lighting up the pitch. Hear the wisdom of legends who've played it all. From local to continental and the globe, if it's football, we've got it covered. Your week isn't complete without it. Soccer Pitch, all in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on NBC2. Soccer Pitch, for the love of the game. NBC2, your home channel.
Good evening and welcome to your midweek sports news here on NBC1. I'm Benjanga Kashemo, bringing you the latest updates in the world of sport. We start with your headlines. Simon Chimwefeleni fight faces uncertain future amidst regulatory issues. Strategic partnership with Namibia Rugby Union. And Beauties FC win highlights growth of football in Namibia. Details coming up. Keep watching. Welcome back. Leading our sport lineup this evening, the Namibia Professional Boxing and Wrestling Control Board has advised the organizers of the much talked about exhibition fight between Harry Simon and Ninja Chimwefeleni to follow procedures if they want the fight to take place this coming weekend. This was revealed at the press conference hosted earlier today in Windhoek.
The Namibia Boxing Control Board cautioned the public against supporting the event, citing non-compliance with the Namibian Boxing and Wrestling Control Act. The board warned that no application for approval has been submitted and stressed that only licensed and approved events are legally permitted to proceed in Namibia.
The Boxing Control Board wishes to inform the public, boxing stakeholders, and media outlets of non-compliance with statutory requirements by Faith Foundation and HS Opuwo Promotions in relation to a proposed boxing-related event that has not received the necessary approval from the board. While HS Opuwo Promotions is a licensed promoter in good standing with the control board, the promoter has in this instance not submitted the required documentation or obtained formal approval for the planned event as required under the Boxing and Wrestling Control Act 1980, Act number 11 of 1980.
However, the event organizer, Faith Foundation founder Dennis Tobias, stated that there is no need for concern, adding that the foundation is committed to meeting all statutory requirements.
Preparations are quite going well. Everything and the response from the media as well. So people want to see this still fight. We are not affiliated to the board. We are a registered welfare organization as an NGO, as a trust, and we are guided by our constitution, plus the pilot project of how we are trying to execute them. So for the board really to tell us that we didn't approach them, we did, and we have those correspondence. We first came to them and then they referred us to the Boxing Confederation, which is in Oceania region where the fight is going to take place, and we did that, and then we wrote to them and they gave us an acknowledgement letter of them accepting and then supporting the event. So we were guided by that letter. Only later, and they are still now coming back to us to tell us that no, there were rules and regulations that were supposed to be followed.
The two previously had an exhibition fight last year on the 7th of December, which ended in a draw for both. It was hosted by Salute Boxing. Now, Faith Foundation is busy marketing their next fight, which is scheduled to take place on the 14th of June 2025 at the Oshakati Independence Stadium. We also contacted Chief Administrator of the Namibia Sports Commission, Freddie Muya, about the issue.
We are very fortunate in this country that we are governed by rule of law. And as we are governed by rule of law, we ensure that all sport-related matters are in compliant. If you look about the professional body, whether we talk about the exhibition fight, it falls within the mandate of the Namibia and Wrestling Control Board. They are responsible for that given area. However, we, the Namibia Sports Commission, in terms of our Promotional Act, there's a concept that says we regulate all. That word all, because we are a new law, we also provide advice on what is required. The Professional Boxing Board, Boxing and Wrestling Control Board, if they did not sanction, definitely they need to go to them and find out why they did not sanction. It's for them to go back and do the right thing, because it's very paramount important that when we got established institution in the land, they must be respected at all costs. So, and follow the right channel, submit what is required, then you are good to go.
The Namibia Boxing Control Board cautioned the public against supporting the event. Meanwhile, information with NBC Sport is that Harry Simon has distanced himself from all and promotion activities of this fight. According to a letter written on the 10th of June 2025 addressed to the Boxing Control Board, Simon and his promotion company, Opuwo Promotion, has terminated all activities between them and the Faith Foundation.
Namibia Breweries Limited has renewed its partnership with the Namibia Rugby Union for 2025. The deal includes vital support for the national teams, including the Valviches and both senior men's and women's side, as they prepare for regional and international competitions leading up to the 2027 Rugby World Cup qualifiers.
The Namibia Breweries Limited Windhoek brand manager Lavinia Shalongo Haitembu emphasizes that their support for the sport is not only for the national team but for the entire rugby ecosystem.
Our 2025 campaign is designed to deepen engagement at every level of the game. We're not just supporting the national team, we are backing the entire rugby ecosystem. That includes the Premier as well as the reserve leagues, the First Division, women's rugby, and flagship events like the NRU Presidency Gold Cup and the NRU Board Shield.
On his part, the Namibia Rugby Union Chief Executive Officer John Haynes stated that the partnership is an investment in the value of teamwork, community and national pride.
Their commitment goes beyond sponsorship. It is an investment in the values of teamwork, community and national pride. The support enables us to strengthen our high-performance structures, expand development, and ensure rugby remains a unified force.
As part of the agreement, the Windhoek beer brand will be visible across all NRU platforms through match day activations, outreach programs, and fan initiatives.
Yeah.
Beauties FC walked away champions after a dominant campaign, and head coach Salome Iyambo says the transformation in the women's game over the years has been remarkable. She noted that the sport has come a long way since her playing days, with improved structures, support and player development creating more opportunities for young talent to shine.
I mean, if you look at the background of women's football in the history of Namibia, we are reliving our moments. We have reclaimed our glory as Okahanja Beauties, where I was as a player. And today we came back again to show what we have done in the past many years ago, winning undefeated and really keeping clean sheets in so many games. It's something that we have done in my days when I was a player 12 times, and now we have done it for the 13th time, and there's no other team that have done that except Ongos, who have done it once.
Iyambo also expressed her team's ambition to qualify for the CAF Women's Champions League, a goal they believe is within reach following their recent title win.
We want to go and build on what Team Namibia has done before. I mean, Ongos have represented us in the previous edition. Unfortunately, we as Namibia, represented by Ongos, we couldn't get out of the group stage. The aim is to really build on that and to be able to capitalize and come out and be able to reach the knockout stage. Of course, we want to strengthen the team here and there a little bit, but we need to give a chance to the players who fought to be there and to get us there. And that's what we are going to do with the cooperation of other teams. I'm sure we can achieve that.
Meanwhile, NFA Director of Marketing and Communication said the intensity and performance levels witnessed throughout the campaign point to the continued growth and development of the Women's League.
We understand, although not confirmed at this point, that the champions want to play in the CAF Champions League COSAFA qualifiers. We hope they do that because it really assists Namibian football, women's football, to grow. You know, after the CAF Champions League, there will be the COSAFA women. So I hope the same ladies, some of them, will be selected to play for the national team. And that really helps to develop women's football in totality.
Hamata added that the Namibia Football Association is committed to elevating women's football even further, with efforts focused on expanding access, talent, nurturing and international exposure.
We are in negotiations with FNB to extend the sponsorship. We are hoping that that will be a successful discussion so that we can really improve on the level of women's football in our country. You know, it's steps below that of men's football, but the strides that have been made so far are commendable. The leadership of the FA are working very hard around the clock to ensure that we bring women's football to a level where it should be in terms of how we compete with other countries.
As Beauties FC celebrates their success, their victory stands as a symbol of just how far the women's game has come and the momentum it continues to build across Namibia. Michelle Shapange, NBC Sport, Windhoek.
Reptile Mineral Resources and Exploration Company handed over tracksuits and sport gear valued at 55,000 Namibian dollars to the Dome High Performance Center Athletic Club and its Future Star program in Swakopmund. This initiative aims to support the development of young athletes, particularly those from less privileged communities.
The Future Star program focuses on identifying and mentoring young athletes, offering them access to professional training and competitive opportunities. According to Public Relations Manager Sagnet Smith, the donation is part of the company's efforts to ensure Namibia continues to nurture and produce world-class talent across various sporting disciplines.
We're very proud to be associated with winners. Having said winners, we're looking at empowering our national champions and asking why national champions, because the Dome identify with one of their programs. It's called Future Stars program, and it's exactly what they are. They identify talent at schools in the Irango region, bring those young potential talent to the Dome, and then they as potential champions, they get the opportunities to rise and shine as our national champs.
T-Neil Young, high performance coach manager at the Dome, expressed deep gratitude for the sponsorship.
Where they've taken hands with us in ensuring that our athletes have sport equipment as well as competition gear when they go out and they represent not only us but also Namibia. So on the one side, we have the Dome Athletics Academy, where we are working with talented athletes from a young age up to elite status, and we ensure that they can compete at the highest level wherever they have to go or whatever it is that they're doing on the athletics track. So they've taken hands with us in ensuring that they have competition gear for that purpose.
Young stated that such contributions reflect a growing partnership between private companies and grassroots sports development initiatives in Namibia, aiming to bridge the gap in access to quality resources for aspiring athletes.
The Nampol netball and volleyball teams in Oshikoto region have received a timely boost after Bluebird Trading Enterprise donated sport equipment and kits.
Managing Director of Bluebird Trading Enterprise, Shingereshu Alexander, stated that the company recognizes the vital role sport plays in shaping communities and fostering unity.
And it's part of our social corporate responsibility as a company to give back to the community and to the region. So we chose sport. Sport contributes individually and community, social growth, and mental health. That's what motivated us.
Oshikoto Nampo Regional Commissioner Commander Ndafuda Ifo welcomed the donation, describing it as a valuable contribution that will directly benefit the team's performance and morale.
As Oshikoto Nampo, we feel honored to host Mr. Alex, the representative of our donors, for donations that they offered to us. We really appreciate your gesture, and we urge you to continue to support the Namibian people. Not only the Namibian police force, but the Namibian people. To the team, I would like to urge you that now that we have received the new kits, netball and volleyball, you should go out there and perform your utmost so that you can bring all those trophies to Oshikoto region.
The handover ceremony was also attended by various regional sport officials and Nampo representatives, underscoring the collective commitment to nurturing local talent.
We'll take you across the globe for the latest from the international sports scene after the break. Argentina rescued a 1-1 draw at home to Colombia in World Cup qualifier. And Oklahoma City Thunder visit Indiana Pacers in crucial Game 3 tonight. These stories and more coming up. Welcome back. 10-man Argentina salvaged a 1-1 draw against Colombia after Luis Diaz's stunning solo effort, while Brazil qualifies for the 2026 World Cup with a 1-0 win over Paraguay.
Argentina secured a 1-0 draw at home to Colombia in the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers on Tuesday night after Liverpool's Luis Diaz scored a sensational individual goal to stun the world champions. Diaz linked with a move to Barcelona, weaved past several Argentina players before firing past Argentina goalkeeper Emilio Martinez to hand struggling Colombia a short lead within 24 minutes played. Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez was then sent off in the second half for a high boot that landed a bloody blow on Colombia's midfielder Kevin Castaño's forehead before a subdued Lionel Messi was replaced. But Almada drew the world champions level with just 9 minutes remaining when he fired into the bottom corner beyond Kevin Mears' desperate dive. Meanwhile, Brazil has qualified for the 2026 World Cup with a 1-0 victory over Paraguay in Sao Paulo. Vinicius Jr. scored the only goal of the match in the 43rd minute in Carlo Ancelotti's home debut as Brazil's national team coach. Ecuador could also secure its direct berth on Tuesday at Peru. Chile will miss a third consecutive World Cup after losing 2-0 at Bolivia to remain last in South America's 10-team round-robin competition. Uruguay recovered from recent poor form with a convincing 2-0 home win against Venezuela.
Staying with the World Cup qualifiers, Australia sealed their spot in the finals with a 2-1 win over Saudi Arabia in Jeddah, finishing second in Group C.
The hosts opened the scoring in the 19th minute. Salam Al-Dawsari's pass bounces to Abdul Rahman Al-Oboud, and he spins into the empty net. But Australia equalized with 3 minutes left in the